What's going on, everybody? You're watching the More Than Love podcast. I'm your host, Terry Duran. I got my man on the line, Jay Bavo. What's up, Jay?
What up, Ted? Looking forward to getting to this great show that we have lined up for tonight.
Yeah, man. We got a real interesting topic tonight. Tonight, we're going to be talking about catching feelings and ignoring red flags. That's a major problem in dating today. So we'll be getting some insight from a real interesting couple that'll be coming on a little bit later. They're both real credentialed, so we should be learning a lot from this episode. So I'm really looking forward. I reached out to them a couple weeks ago, so we had a couple other episodes already lined up. So I've been looking forward to bringing them on. So we'll get into that a little bit later. Before we start, I want to give a shout out to my man, Brother Soul Productions. I appreciate all the love, him keeping lights with the audio that y'all hear in the background. But we like to start off the podcast with a segment that we call Terry's Top 3, where we basically highlight 3 of the most interesting or controversial posts from my Instagram page at Terry Duran. So this week we're going to be starting off with the video that was sent to me. It was sent to me from big shout out to the Roommates podcast. So it was a clip from one of their podcasts where they brought on an expert and she was talking about her experience with women and infidelity. Let's take a look.
In fact, in my practice, more women cheat than men.
Oh, hold on.
Whoa.
Let's say that one more time.
I was not ready for that.
Well, I know this is a little off topic,
No,
but
good.
it is.
No. We'll go right. We'll go down this road.
It is absolutely true. And
So
the
from your
difference.
practice, you've experienced more women cheating than
Yes, and it's very different. Men will cheat and still love their wife. In fact, 58% of them do. If a woman cheats, she usually is not in love with her partner. In fact, I think the report was something like 32% of women who cheated still love their partner. It is more rare.
Wow.
So, and when men cheat, because it's again a masculine trait and it's thought to be masculine, they are more likely to get caught. For women, it is.
Now, it's really interesting to hear a doctor, and especially a female doctor, come on, publicly and say something like this. I don't have any statistics to measure cheating or whether somebody's faithful or not. That's why I always talk about, to me, I don't worry about stuff that can't be proven or verified. Yes, you can catch a person cheating, when some tangible evidence comes to light, a pregnancy, a STD, photographs, video, a car accident, stuff that's documented where you can actually catch the person, but in a lot of instances you don't. Like most sexual encounters, or I would say vast majority, they take places where it's private, where it's one-on-one, and so if you're dealing with somebody that knows how to operate discreetly and is used to maneuvering where they don't have everybody in their business, it's going to be hard to figure out if they busted a nut one time, because sex can just be a couple of minutes of action. Like, it don't have to be no long, thought out romantic day like on the romantic comedies. A booty call could be 7 minutes of you met somebody somewhere and got some head. Like, and then you don't have to text or call each other after that. Like, so how can it's hard to catch stuff like that, which is why a lot of people have a suspicious kind of insecure mindset.
But it's interesting. Even hearing that from a woman, period, of why, because we spoke about this hundreds of times on the show that just because a man cheats doesn't mean he doesn't love the woman that he's with.
Right. It also kind of conflicts with what a lot of women say when we talk about women usually have some type of emotional attachment to the dude that they cheat with. I've explained that from my side dude experience. Other men have testified to it. That's very different than how a man that actually loves his wife that's cheating because he's unhappy with things feels towards his side chicks or the chicks he's smashing. He's more calculated. He's not just thirsty. He's not doing the most. He's selective about the type of women and the type of situations he's willing to get himself into. He's not out here trying to finesse some chick that's looking for a man into thinking he's gonna be her man. Like, those are the type of things that young 21, 22-year-old dudes are expected to do because they new to adulthood. You know what I'm saying? Like they ain't used to being a dad, or they just became a dad. They just started dealing having a baby mama. Like you can start having kids as a teenager. So for people to make it 21, 22, if they've been fucking since they was 15, man, that's actually doing pretty good if you think about it. You know what I'm saying? Like 7 years, that's what, like 7 times 12, 80 something months. You know what I'm saying? Like that's really positive. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause anybody that's having sex actively that many years can slip up and have a baby. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just whether they careful or not. You know what I'm saying? Like if you could get a real anonymous poll on the public and find out how many people either had an abortion or had an abortion done, you know what I'm saying? Like I think it'll be over 50% of people. You know what I'm saying? So,
that's interesting.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like that. Those are the kind of things that I'm gonna be trying to do with the Terry Duran app I'll be developing in 2020. But I'll announce more about that to come. Like that, this behind the scenes stuff that I've been working on. But it'll give me kind of data on the type of information that I want to have conversations about. All right, so the next video, then that's my daughter in the background. All right, so the next video was a post that was a cartoon video by the artist Obars, I believe that's how you pronounce it. It shows a very familiar scenario for me, so let's take a watch.
I know this is our first date, but it feels like I've known you my entire life. I feel the same way too. This must be what they mean by love at first sight. It sure is. Here's your check, sir. Oh, damn. I forgot my wallet. Boy, don't worry about it. I'll pay for it. You sure? Yeah, it's not that big of a deal, but I need to hit the ladies' room first. You truly are amazing. Hey, Mom. Wanted to tell you that I met the smartest, funniest, most beautiful woman ever. I've never felt this way about anyone in my life. This might sound crazy, but I think she's the one.
Oh man, now that video had me cracking up laughing, right? It shows the hopeless romantic, you know what I'm saying, how he feels on a first date. And everything is going right. He's convinced himself she's the one, etc. But he had a mistake. He fumbled the ball and forgot his wallet. It was interesting to see how many women would really cut a guy off over this, because I mean, it gotta be. There were some women that said that they would have paid for it, but they followed up with, I would have cut him off after that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it was like, damn, what if you really did forget your wallet on a first date?
Right. I mean, I just think, I guess it has a, that whole thing, it has a stigma and a negative connotation on it, because then there's the assumption that the dude was just broke, or he just doesn't have money, or it was an excuse so he didn't have to pay the bill. Right. Whatever. I mean, we hear these things all the time.
Yeah,
but,
man.
I mean, he could have legit got his wallet. And hey, for what it's worth, I'm sure if he.
In today's age, though, you can cash app a chick. You can find a way to pay for it. If you got money in your bank account, you can find a way to get the
you got cash
PayPal or something to that effect. But but this scenario, it was funny to me because it really it was a pivotal moment in my relationship with my wife like that. And we had started kicking it heavy, right? Like she was like, I was single, but I was spending 75% of my time with her. You know what I'm saying? Like type shit. But we had went out of town. I had wrecked my vehicle in Houston at a football game. And so that week I got a new vehicle, but I had to go back to Houston to get my amps and my speakers and get all my shit out of my car and from the lot. So I asked my wife, would she ride with me? So I'm like, boom, I'm gonna get us a hotel. We gonna be able to kick it. You know what I'm saying? Like had a new truck. You know what I'm saying? Like so it was my first time really taking a woman on an out of town. No, I'm not really. I had done it, but a woman that I considered that I had felt was wife material to me on a trip like that, right? So boom, the trip is going perfect. We went out there, did our thing, you know what I'm saying? Went out the whole night. So when we headed back, we stopped at Papados to eat before we got back on the road. And it just so happened that as I was about to pull out my wallet, I just asked her a hypothetical. I was like, what would you do if I said I didn't have my wallet? And just to see how she would respond, like just playing around. And she was like, I would just pay for it. You know what I'm saying? So in my head, I'm like, fuck out of here. You're not finna pay no $60. So I said, well, I forgot my wallet then. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was just calling her bluff. But she actually pulled out a card and set that on the table and went through the motion. So I'm sitting there like, cause at the time, I ain't never had a chick pay $60 for no food for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was prime meals type shit. So when she paid for it, in my head, I'm like, damn, she really independent. You know what I'm saying? Like, she really got her shit together. Like, she's on my level because I was out the military and I can afford to go out of town and do different type of shit. But I was surprised that a college chick could. You know what I'm saying? Like, and had the money to do it.
Exactly. I mean,
but
college,
this is
because the college kids don't have a whole bunch of money.
Right, you know what I'm saying? But I would have never played her like that, right? But anyway,
right.
so now I had no idea that she had went to the bathroom, called her dad, like, yo dad, I'm finna put $60 on that credit card. This fuck nigga done not try to play me. Like, she done went off on me to her dad on the phone. So she comes out and pays for it, and I'm talking about, nigga, I'm getting ultimate attitude. Like we drove from Houston to Baton Rouge, which is like a 4-hour trip. I don't even think she spoke. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be honest,
that had to be uncomfortable.
But I'm sitting there like, damn, I can't believe she did that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm really impressed by the fact that she did it with no hesitation. She didn't. I could tell she was upset or felt some type of way, but she didn't know I had slid $60 in the side of her purse, right? So I drop her off at her apartment. I'm talking about she's slamming doors, like, don't hug me goodbye. Like, she's done with me. You know what I'm saying? So as I'm leaving, I text her, check your purse. You know what I'm saying? And so when she found the money in her purse, I would imagine that turned the tide and gave us a lot of momentum going forward. But it was crazy how this post really related to something that was shit. It could. Right. What if I had to put the $60 in there? You know what I'm saying? What if I was gonna wait till the next day? You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, I guess in that case you would have had a second date. But obviously everything worked out there because you obviously still married to this day here.
Yeah, so let's keep it moving, man. This last post, it was a post that was sent to me that I just gave my thoughts on, right? So it said, I ghosted my boyfriend of 5 years. I came over to his house one morning to surprise him with breakfast and a video game he wanted, only to find him naked, asleep, and with his ex curled up in his arms. He didn't hear me come in, so I closed his bedroom door and left his breakfast and game on the kitchen counter along with my key to his house. I went to my car, deactivated my Facebook, and blocked him on all forms of social media. I then called my phone provider to change my number before driving off. I texted family members and close friends that we were no longer together and to block him on social media as well. I didn't tell them why. I was in a position to end the lease in my apartment early, and I started a new job in a different city later that week. I completely removed myself from him and didn't offer a shred of explanation or opportunity for dialogue. I disappeared from his life after his betrayal, and I think it'll not only help me to focus on myself without his presence, but I think completely shutting myself off from him will hurt worse than anything when he thinks on how good he had it with me these last 5 years.
Man, we start here with this.
Now, okay, you didn't resort to violence. You didn't do anything that was gonna resort to jail or police or nothing, etc. Right? I commend that. I'm giving kudos to that. You handled it respectfully, right? Because you could have done a whole bunch of, you know what I'm saying? Like, this could have been way left. Before I left, I keyed his car, I set his house, on fire.
Bleached his clothes.
Yeah,
started a whole scene.
But you did it.
Trying to stab him.
Yeah, it could have went way left, right?
It definitely could have spiraled out of control.
So I have to give props for that portion of it. But to me, in my opinion, there ain't no way in hell that a dude that really gives a fuck about his woman and his relationship, and knowing that she has a key to his crib, is just fucking his ex and just come spend the night with his ex. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That don't sound like a dude that really cares about this relationship, right? Just my opinion on that. I could be wrong.
I mean, yeah, you could be wrong. But yeah, I mean, he had a.
What do you think?
No, she has the key to his house or apartment, whatever it is. I mean, first of all, that's not even smart. Number one.
Right.
You're
right, because you're not being discreet. You're not hitting and moving.
Not at all.
You caked up. Like, you have to have rules. Like, being a cheater is you have to have discipline, just like you do have to have discipline to sell dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to operate in a certain way to minimize your chances of getting caught. If it's somebody that you care about. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the only reason you do it, if it's somebody that you care about. You know what I'm saying? Like, so for her to assume that her disappearing is just gonna be the worst thing ever, and this, like, you can convince yourself of that, but I would bet money on the against on that. You know what I'm saying?
I would too. I mean, now I thought the way she handled it was, I mean, like you said, she didn't resort to any violence or anything like that. It didn't spiral out of control, but at the same time, she still handled it very passive aggressive there.
Yeah.
She didn't address the situation. She didn't even really address the situation. She just cut him off.
A whole lot of extra. That's
what I'm saying. That's an extreme, and then you move to a whole other city. I mean, that's a bit extreme there.
Yeah, but see, it's stuff like that gets praised and bragged about. Like, man, like if one of my partners texted me and told me block such and such from social media, and I'm changing my number and I'm moving out of town, I would be like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Exactly.
Like, I'm not gonna be telling you, like, yeah. Because whenever she thinks about you, it's going to be the worst mistake. Like, man, fuck out of here. That's hopeless romantic talk to me.
Now, okay, you move to this city. Let's just say you meet somebody, and it ends, you somehow find yourself in a similar situation. So what are you going to do? Leave that city to go to another city?
I don't know, man. Some of these scenarios just don't sound logical enough to you.
I mean, listen, if you know you want to end the relationship over, that's one thing. But yeah. I mean, you move to a whole other. I mean, I feel like you could have at least addressed the situation and then make a decision from there.
You know what's interesting? A lot of women make it seem like they ex is just like, I know I can ignore any person I don't want to talk to.
Right.
Especially, I don't block people's number. I don't know how to necessarily block from an iPhone, but I sure know how to block people I don't want to deal with on social media. And I don't have to worry about, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can block an email. All it takes is one email from them. Oh, that's just block. Like, they make it seem like cutting somebody off that you don't want to deal with is the most impossible thing ever. But we'll turn right around and brag about their ability to just cut somebody off. So I was like, come on, man. This type of stuff is so extreme that it seems like false hope or false bravado.
Right. I think it is. I think, you just beat your chest, convince yourself, yeah, I did it. See? But what
I would think she's thinking about him way more than he's thinking about her.
I would agree. I would be inclined to believe that. I mean, just think. Let's just say she did all that and he just didn't even give a shit and didn't even inquire or anything. He just moved on, and now the ex is there now for what it's worth. now you look silly as hell just going too free like that. I mean, what did you really accomplish there?
But see, whenever the person gets to write their own scenario of what it was in their head, they just convincing themselves to make themselves feel better. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
But that's cool. If that's what it takes for you to move on from a relationship.
More power to you on that.
All right, let's keep the ball rolling. We did have a trending topic, but it looked like we're running kind of up against the clock, and I wanted to get to our guests. So we will probably reformat the show, and we'll probably pick up the trending topic after we bring them on. We're about to take a quick break. When we come back, we will be coming back to have a real intricate discussion with our special guests. We're going to be talking about catching feelings and ignoring the red flags while dating, and how brutal it can be to your dating experiences. You're listening to the More Than Love podcast. Thanks for tuning in. You have everything it takes to become an effective dater. I've simplified the entire process for you. All you need to do is make some adjustments to your approach to learn how you're supposed to date by downloading the Terry Duran Dating Compatibility Guide. It's available for only $1.50 exclusively at terryduranbooks.com. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the More Than Love podcast. Today we are talking about catching feelings and ignoring red flags. We have our guests on the line. We have Kumar and Shelly, and how y'all doing?
Doing well.
Wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing all right, man. I appreciate y'all taking the time to come on the show. I really like to get knowledgeable people and expose them to my audience. So can you give us a little bit about information about yourself so we can know what to expect?
Not a problem.
Yeah, we're both sex and relationship coaches, authors, speakers, and tantra teachers. We've been coaching couples, men and women, for me at least, the last almost decade, the last 10 years, and for
at least 15 for me.
Okay.
So we really love, we really love helping people have amazing relationships and get past the bullshit, get past all the lies they thought into, all the belief systems, all the taboos, get rid of all of their fears to really open up and to have a relationship that inspires. And that's really what brings us joy. It's just showing the world what truly is possible, and we're raw, we're vulnerable, we're real, and oftentimes it's a little scary for people.
I agree. I think a lot of people, I find, or my observation, a lot of guys are able to meet their relationship goals because it usually just consists of consistent time, attention, and sex from the women they find attractive. But for most women, I find that it's often their dating strategies or their logistics per se, or their methods of engagement when it comes to men, or their unrealistic expectations of the men that they date. What do you think about that?
Well, that's for sure. One of the things that we talk about with a lot of our people that we end up having as clients is the fact that nobody really sits down and gives an idea of what exactly it is that they're looking for in a partner. That's why one of the reasons that you hear this concept of people fall in love. Love is not something that you should fall into, because if you fall into it, guess what? You're going to fall out of it as well.
I never heard it presented like that. Most people present it like it's this euphoric state where everything is perfect and it'll fix anything. Like, so I just look at that as a hopeless romantic perspective on things.
No, love actually, brother, and I'll tell you, I've been married twice. This is my third and final marriage, and I can tell you from my own personal experience, I approach this relationship and this marriage as a business. It's the business of spending your life with the rest of your life with this person. So you can't just fall in and out if that's what you're looking for. And most people out there are looking for long-term relationships, but they're not willing to put in the time to take the time to interview somebody to see if this is going to be a long-term partner worth my while.
True.
Sure. I'm glad to the business part of it. I think, cause I have these conversations with friends all the time, and I always say, at the end of the day, marriage is a business. Like, I think if marriage for love is really recent that just came about really in the modern day era, which a lot of people don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's very important. I think it's very important to select the people that you marry and you have children with. Unfortunately, a lot of people want the wedding, they want the show, they want to be able to brag about the marriage, or post it on social media and these type of things. But they don't really think about what it takes to be a quality husband or a quality wife, or what it really takes to effectively make a household run. Well, what are y'all experiencing with the people that y'all counsel and coach?
Well, that's a whole other story, because the majority of my clients are women, and unfortunately, number one, they don't know what they want in a partner. They get distracted by the red flags. They oftentimes go after what they want emotionally, and then they get excited. They get, sidetracked by the lust and the passion and everything at the beginning, and then 5 years later, they wake up and go, well, this isn't the man that I want, and then they want him to change, and they stay in the relationship thinking, if I just love him, if I just do this, if I change him, then he'll become the man that I really want, and I'll have the marriage that I want. And sadly, I have to remind them, this is who you married from day one. So, you can't just ask them to change 5 years later. You really need to know, what do you want? What did you want? And oftentimes, they still don't know that, whether it's 5 years into the marriage or 20 years into the marriage. And I just had a fellow friend of mine, she asked me today, she's like, well, I've been hearing a lot of women tell me that they need to go celibate for their soulmate to show up. And I'm like, I never went celibate to have Kumar show up in my life. But I'm like, the bigger question here for you is, why do you need a soulmate? And so many women have this fear, and she admitted it to me. She said, I'm afraid of being alone. I don't want to be single. I guess I'm really not happy with me. I'm telling myself I'm happy with me. I'm telling myself I love myself. But really, I'm looking for that partner, that soulmate, the one, the twin flame, to complete me, to make me whole. And that is completely ass backwards.
Yeah, I see. I get, when I say that on my page, I guess because I'm a man, women will say, you're bashing women, and I'm like, man, I'm just trying to tell y'all how it really is. Like, the men that really have the credentials that women look for in men, they're handsome, they got the personality, they make the money, like they can command the room, they got the swag. Those type of men are not struggling with dating. So they're not really going to change the way that they approach women if they feel that they respect women, if they feel like they bring in a fair option to the table. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he's presenting a real authentic version of himself to women and experiences success, why would he change? Why would he adopt these silly Cinderella or fairy tale logic that a lot of women have? So it's just like, it's hard to get women to understand that what they say they want doesn't really align with what their dating decisions show us.
I can tell you guys, based on my own experience, our first date, I scared the shit out of Shelly. I put it all out there. And I told her, when we met for coffee, 2.5 hour conversation, and I told her, I said, run and don't ever look back.
Wow. What was the reaction after when you said that? What was the reaction there?
I didn't run. I said later that night, because he said, I'm never going to call you and I'm not going to text you. Here's my number. I'm like, what am I afraid of? What am I running for?
That's a good way to cut the chase. The only way you're going to hit him up is if he was really interested.
Absolutely. But I'm like, bring it on.
Now, this question is for both of you guys. What are the common mistakes you guys see in your experience of people you work with, either men or women? What's the common mistakes that you guys see here?
Well, so if we start, there's a lot. So if we stick to what we were going to talk about, which was the chemistry and the compatibility, right? From a chemistry perspective, we get so caught up in the physical look of the person, or the car that they drive, or how they dress, that we don't, and the money that they have, that we don't take the time to find out, who is this person? Let me peel away all of this shit and find out, who is this person? Can I live with this person? Do I like this person? Do I want to spend time with this person? Is this person going to make me laugh on the days that I feel like shit and don't feel like going through? Or is this the person who's going to, when I come home from a hard day of work, just starts nagging me and I just don't want to be around them? We don't put in that time. Look, again, we come back to the concept. It's a marriage of business. And it happens in the court. When we go our separate ways, the court divides the assets between the partners and send them around their way. It is a business.
That's the big reason a lot of guys don't want to get married.
Absolutely. We're seeing it more and more. I got nephews in their 30s don't even want to talk about marriage.
Right. Now, I mean, a lot of things you named is based on, a lot of people base relationships based on superficial things. Now, who do you see it more from? Do you see it more from men or do you see it more from women?
I'm going to let my wife answer that one.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I would say women, hands down.
All right.
Wow. Well,
interesting.
So can you elaborate on when we're talking about unrealistic expectations, what are some of the things that women tell you they expect out of men?
Oh, you guys mentioned it earlier. The Cinderella syndrome, the princess, they want the big fancy wedding. They basically want to be princess and they want to be saved by the prince who comes in riding on his big white horse. I mean, that is their fairy tale. And there is this joke and meme that goes around on the internet about how men want a relationship based on porn and how women want a relationship based on Disney.
Yeah.
I heard some truth in that.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of truth to that. And it's sad. And one of the questions we always ask Brian, well, this is the statistic and analogy that my husband gives. I'll let him share it.
So here's one of the things, when especially if somebody is in younger people or somebody's in the younger stage of their relationship, and they reach out to us and talk about, well, I'm looking at this person and I want to know if this is the right relationship, should I invest? And I always tell them, I says, look, statistically in North America right now, marriage failure rate is close to 70%.
Wow.
So if I gave you $30,000, which is an average wedding today, and told you, go to Vegas, you have one shot, one game, you're going to lay down $30,000, and there's a 70% chance that you're going to lose the money, would you do it?
I would imagine almost everybody says no.
Hey, absolutely everybody says no. But yes, again, my wife and I talk about this all the time. One of the things that we don't do when we're courting somebody, well, first of all, we don't take the time to court people anymore. It's either, hey, we're hooked up, we're having sex, next thing you know, we're spending the nights together, next thing you know, we're in a relationship. So there's no pre-planning on what is it going to be like to be living with this person? What is it going to be like to be sharing a life and building a future with this person? We're so afraid of being alone, like my wife said, that we're willing to sacrifice and overlook so many things.
Hey, quick question. I meant to ask this at the beginning. How old were you guys when y'all met? I think that's really put some context on how old were y'all at the time that y'all met, and how long have y'all been married?
We've been married going on 9 years now, and I was 25 at the time.
And I'm going to go back now, I was 46. 45. Just before my 60th birthday. So it's 19 and a half years between us.
Wow.
Okay. You must be doing something right there. That's another interesting thing. Like men that have the credentials and the personality and the things like I was talking about, they will always be able to be successful with women because you don't have to attract them with a gimmick. You don't have to pull some kind of Jedi mind trick to trick a woman into sleeping with you. If you're a quality guy, if you make a decent amount of money and you live a fairly fun, comfortable lifestyle, that's appealing to a woman that in most cases is anxiously looking for a relationship to begin with. But I think that's part of the problem, though, that anxiety to get in a relationship often causes a woman to think and operate in a way that prevents it from happening.
Well, that kind of leads into a conversation that my wife and I always have with a lot of clients. And the conversation is really, what are men looking for and what are women looking for?
Is that hard to define or break down? Like how do people? Is that hard to get that? Is that hard? It's like pulling teeth getting that out of people.
Out of men, not at all. It's easy. They know exactly what they want, and usually it's 3 simple things.
What are the 3 simple things?
I'd be willing to guess what it is too.
Go ahead, take a guess.
It's probably a clean house, good cooked meal, and then some good oral sex.
Basically, and I'll add in fun and absolutely no drama.
Peaceful environment, meet my sexual needs. Yeah, that's pretty. Men are pretty simple. You know, the name of my first book I wrote about relationships was called "It's Not That Complicated." You know, because I just think a lot of women overthink, and they think and operate based off of their assumptions about men. And it seems like the things that they think about men or their perspectives all rooted through a female perspective. And so it's like everything that a man does, they're comparing it to, well, I wouldn't have done that, or I wouldn't have said that. And so it's like, but you're not a man, you know. And so a lot of men, I find that they thank me for articulating this perspective, like the things that men experience and deal with that cause them to cut a woman off. Or like, man, I'm glad I didn't marry, or I was about to propose, but look how insecure she is. You know what I'm saying? Like the stuff that actually, if a woman really knew the real reason why he ended up cheating, or why he decided to not marry her, I would think it would generate some type of change, right?
No, unfortunately not. I can't tell you how many, even Instagram clients that I've worked with, and now, you know, a year later after I've worked with the wife, and she is not willing to change whatsoever, and I see, oh, well, the husband just reached out and they're divorced. And that has happened multiple times, because unfortunately, the women have to take responsibility for why he cheated, why he left, why he didn't commit, why he didn't want the relationship. And it's really hard for women to want to take responsibility. It requires them to look in the mirror. It requires them to actually step back and go, wait, what am I doing? Because they're so caught up in what he's going to do for me, what he's going to give me.
Well, I mean, it's funny. It's funny that you say that. You know, me and Terry say so. I've said this on many shows that women do not like to be called out on their stuff or be held accountable. Even, you know, a lot of times Terry puts stuff on his page where it's kind of holding women accountable, and women get upset with a lot of his posts.
Do your clients respond negatively to you all?
Oh yes, I've had women call me a misogynist. You know.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I can see it from both sides. So I don't take the side of the female. I don't take the side of the male, but I'm in the middle. But I lean more towards the male side just because I'm a very masculine woman, so I can view it from that way. But also, I have so many men around me who have the insanity of what they're going through, and when they tell me all I want is someone fun, who doesn't nag, who is no drama, is this and that, and it's like, ladies, it's really simple. Let me tell you what men want, and they just don't want it. They don't want to hear it. They don't want change. They make me wrong for it. So unfortunately, there's not a whole lot I can do except just keep being the inspiration that I'm being.
Okay, I mean that's hard. That's harsh information to hear, but from my perspective, personally, it feels good to hear some doctors and some experts experiencing the exact same thing that I experienced. Because for me, I'm not a licensed relationship coach, etc. Right? However, I was when I was single, I was a hoe for a very long time, and I was extremely successful with women by being authentic and real, right? So I can speak about the quality man's perspective on dating and why they're successful. And I've been married for a long time. Me and my wife have been married 14 years already, you know, and so I can speak about what makes a marriage unhappy, what makes a man move out, what makes a man start thinking about divorce. And I can talk about the things that make a man not want to cheat, even when he has the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Like, that put him in a space where it's not worth risking what I have with my wife, or it's not worth disrupting my household for something that temporary. Like, I'm trying to teach women how to get to that space, but they block me before they can get the point.
Again, I mean, we're dealing with fragile egos. Men have it, women have it, but we have to always remember something. As we said earlier in the conversation, men are very logical. It's black and white for them. Women are very emotional. It's all about feelings. And those feelings change as soon as the emotion changes. Whereas for men, we're still black and white. That's why I jokingly say men, and no offense, but men are like dogs. And I don't mean that derogatory. What I mean is, We're simple to train. You tell us what makes you happy, we will go about and move heaven and earth to do that. But if you change your mind about what makes you happy, you gotta let us know. You can't. We're not Jedi. We're not gonna get it for you.
Yeah, I talk about effective communication a lot. And a lot of women seem to think that that means just being able to speak their mind or get their point across. And I often have to articulate that for most men, they're not passive aggressive. They tell a woman what they have a problem with or why they're unhappy about something. And they're expecting some type of tangible effort. You know, because a man that cares about a woman, if she comes to you and says, babe, this makes me feel some type of way, he's going to either give you an explanation or he'll put some effort into changing it. You know what I mean? Like, that's how you can tell if somebody's really working towards trying to make the relationship work, or they just don't really give a damn how you feel. You know, and like you were saying earlier, if you take the time to evaluate people, you shouldn't be in a rush to try to get a commitment, because you don't know if that person, how they handle people when they have disagreement. You got to spend time with them to see stuff like that. And a lot of people are just, and I guess to compete with society, like you said, it makes.
So one of the things we talk about is this, and you just touched on it. We can go into so many tangents in this conversation.
Yeah,
I knew this was gonna be good.
We talk about communication. You ask anybody, what is one of the key fundamental things in a good relationship, and everybody will tell you the same thing. It's open and honest conversation. Remember, there was a line in that movie with Jack Nicholson, A Few Good Men, and Cuba Gooding Jr., where he said, do you want the truth? You can't handle the truth. Here is the problem that we see in relationships. In order for you to have open, honest communication, you have to create a space for that to happen. And be able to put your ego aside and really listen with your whole body what that person is saying, not what you're thinking, but hear them. Actually just let it not go over your head, but actually stop. Put yourself aside and hear what that person is actually saying without getting your ego blocking you.
Yeah, very good point. You know, it's unfortunate. You know, I can tell by the way a lot of my followers miss that like they struggle to comprehend the things that I actually post or the things that I actually say. You know, they change definitions of words. They make up something that I didn't actually say to just be able to argue. Like so these are things that I've been experiencing with women since I was a teenager. So I'm like a black belt with it. Like I'm like, like so it's nothing new. Any guy that's dealt with women can deal with this type of stuff. But most guys just can't articulate it the way that I can. You know what I'm saying? And explain why it's problematic or why it doesn't make sense. So it's really interesting to see y'all having the exact same thoughts. I haven't heard anything that I disagree with. I haven't heard you say anything where there was a conflict. So for the people that watch, like, it should start resonating. Wow, Terry's not really just making it up.
Right.
You know
I mean, you're hearing it from professionals, you know, people who do this stuff for a living.
And I'll tell you, one of the things that we teach, we have this thing that we've coined as spoon technique of how to actually create that space for communication. And one of the things that we've had to work for, don't think that although we have a real live fairy tale marriage, it takes work. And one of the things we've worked on is the ability to communicate. Because a lot of times when I talk to my wife, and we've had all-out fights over it, I would tell her, listen to what I'm telling you that I'm feeling. And she'd tell me, oh, no, that's not what I'm saying. I don't know what you're saying. Listen to what I'm telling you. This is what I am feeling. And if you want me to tell you more about what I'm feeling, you've got to actually hear me. Not just sit there and tell me, oh, but that's not what I meant. You can argue all you want, but if I'm not feeling what is it that you're sending out at me, then we're distance apart from each other.
Very good. I've never heard it spoken like that. That's a good point. You know, most guys, before they even really get to that point, they're not that self-aware. They tune you out, you know, and there's no growth in a relationship if you're getting tuned out. Because when if they tune you out majority of the time, then you're not the person that they're gonna go to when they do need to discuss something important. That means you're not the person they making life decisions with. That, you know what I'm saying? Like that to me, I can't imagine a healthy marriage where that's not taking place, where you're not discussing the future and what's going to happen, the what ifs, you know, the unpleasant parts of life and things of that nature. There's no way to plan for those type of things if you can't have open and honest conversation like you said. Man, we definitely got to get y'all.
We do. I mean, this is a great conversation.
I love conversations like this where we can get the female perspective, where she's dropping insight and knowledge, and she's not candy coating it. Like that's the part that frustrates me. Like I got some followers, but my page ain't really that much. But the people that just pander to women and tell them the fairy tale, they got 10 million followers and seminars and worldwide tours, and it's like, damn, do y'all want honesty or not?
Sadly, no. And I'll tell you, being a woman, oftentimes I don't understand how I communicate when I start spinning, and that's where, luckily, my husband is here to control me and calm me down, because I literally feel like a tsunami. My emotions are taking over, and afterwards I'm like, did I really say that? Like, what the fuck? What just happened there? It feels like a tornado. But that's why I always say that the feminine energy needs a very strong masculine energy. She's looking for that alpha male. And that's why, sadly and unfortunately, 50 Shades of Grey was so popular, but that's not really what women are looking for. They were drawn to that because he's a billionaire. But really what they're looking for is that strong, dominant, alpha male energy to calm them down, to remind them, no, you're not going to push me over. You're not going to step all over me. You're not going to, talk to me that way. They're going to be there as that anchor to hold them and basically kick them out of their tsunami shitstorm and be like, okay, come back to earth. But your emotions aside.
That's the hard part. That's hard for a lot of men. Can't do that. A lot of men cannot tell a woman no. They cannot tell a woman when she's in the wrong. That they'll just ignore it or throw money at the problem. Or
I think that happens, especially times in the beginning stages of the day, because a lot of times men are campaigning for ass. Like, we're going to be real about it. And so they don't want to mess up whatever rapport they have. And I would say more so in the beginning of the relationship. So, it's just, they'll just take that for what it is, or just let that kind of slide.
Yeah, but as I tell men, they have to be willing to lose that relationship. You have to be willing to go, no, there's the door. If you want to change, you're going to change. Talk to me differently. Calm down. So they have to be willing to lose her. And if they're not willing to lose her, then they're a beta male. So
I agree.
That's gonna hurt some feelings there.
That really is. but I think I think we spoke about it with sophisticated answers a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
That's pretty much would make a sense. Somebody's willing to compromise integrity just to be with that woman.
Like, nah, like I said, any man that and that's the part that's really confusing to me, because for most of the men that women want, the biggest problem that women, with the advice sessions I do and all the DMs and emails I get, they're trying to get the man that they're having sex with to commit to them. That's the problem. And it's like,
one of the things that my wife and I often discuss is the big difference when it comes to sex. And let me just side note real quick. One of the things about compatibility that most people, and I'm talking about 99.9% of people, don't take into consideration when they're looking at a relationship is sexual compatibility. People don't put any effort and absolutely no thought into sexual compatibility. Boy, and that is
that's dumb. That don't make sense to me.
Relationship. I don't either. I don't.
See,
I don't think I want to be with somebody I'm not sexually compatible with.
Yeah, I don't understand how you can do that. I've been doing that since I was. That's so silly, but man, I created a dating and compatibility guide, right? I got so tired of having to tell people that they failed the dating phase that I actually created a guide where they can download it to their phone for $1.50, where it walks them through the dating phase, the kind of conversations you should have, the type of questions, the type of responses you should expect. It gives them a evaluation guide where they can circle trustworthy, communicate, like they can actually rate their partner so that they can transfer their feelings into data. So it's like I'm doing all this effort to try to help women and make better dating decisions, but all I get is negativity accused of hating women and accused of being against women, and it's like, man.
Get used to it, brother. That's something that we deal with regularly. But again, like my wife and I always say, men do sex, and when they do sex first and they enjoy the sex, then they want the relationship. Women, the ones we've experienced, they want a relationship, and for that relationship, they'll do sex. But the minute they get into the relationship, sex is out the door.
Yeah, that's a tough situation to be in. That leads to the cheating, you know what I'm saying? Because the men are having a conversation while we ain't having sex, and it creates the feeling that you tricked me or you leveraged sex to get the marriage.
Yeah, basically, and then they use it as, a cookie system to hand it out. Oh, if you do the dishes, you'll get sex. Or, oh, if you give me my emotions. I've had so many times, well, no, he's not getting sex till I get the emotions I need. Well, you're going to be waiting a while, but what they don't realize is that through the sex, they'll actually get the emotional connection from him that they're looking for. I can't tell you how many women, oh, no, sex isn't the glue. Love is the glue. Love is going to hold my marriage together.
Yeah, I always say, you're never going to improve your relationship with a man by removing the sex.
Never.
Nope.
Never. That is your duty as a wife, as a husband, as a partner.
Yeah.
If you're not willing to give it to your partner, is your partner allowed to go out there to get it?
Yeah,
Usually their answer is no. 99.9% of the time their answer is no. Well, then you can never withdraw that from him or her.
Very true.
Right.
Too much.
But a lot of women like to use sex as their bargaining chip. Whereas men don't really use sex as bargaining chip.
Yep, they
We
do.
remove ourselves.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we deal with regularly, guys, is, and I'm sure a lot of people don't want to hear this, but it is what it is. One of the things that we deal with regularly is the fact that the minute that sex becomes a bargaining tool, men are funny creatures, and a lot of women haven't figured this out yet. But if you withdraw sex from us and hold it out against us, we will eventually stop needing it from you. And by the time you turn around and decide you want to hand it back to us or give it to us, we are already looking elsewhere or have moved on emotionally, even if we are not cheating, even if we're not looking elsewhere.
And that's the worst. That's the worst thing you can do.
Emotionally from you.
Once a man, that's one of the things that I talk about. Like I always talk about relationship killing behavior, the things that will make a man that did used to love you fall out of love, that will make a man that was really just trying to hold his family together just be like, man, fuck this, I'm gonna pay child support. Like, there are really things that men experience that change their feelings towards women, and it often has to do with her decision making, her value system, how she handles him, how she handles conflict with him. You know, a lot of guys have experienced revengeful, spiteful, petty women, you know, and that type of mentality is going to conflict with the type of men women claim that they want.
Absolutely. And then I've had women who've done that to their man come and, well, I'm doing everything he's telling me and I'm not turning him on. He doesn't want me anymore. Why? Well, when you've beaten him down for, let's say, 5 or 10 years, you've rejected him, you've beaten him up, you've been vengeful, how do you think you can just have an on-off switch and get turned on by you and rally up? Like, men just don't work that way. But I always play I flip the card. Okay, let's put you in his shoes. If he treated you that way, would you be able to be turned on to him one day because now he magically loves you and wants you? And then they usually go, oh, no, you're right.
Yeah, that's it. I try to get them to flip the switch before it reaches that point, because there are a lot of women that lose quality men when all they have to do is make a small change. You know, men are really asking for things that are reasonable, that are rational, that will improve the relationship. You know, but it takes negative experiences to spark growth for a lot of people. So hopefully some of my audience will hear some of your insight and your information. Before we get out of here, can you let people know where to reach you, how they could book you for a session, etc.?
Yes. So my website is drshellypersad.com, and we are launching our YouTube show podcast from January, and that website is gmail.com. And then on Instagram, Dr. Shelly Persad, and then Kumar is Love Guru for the number 4, you.
All right, man. I once again I want to appreciate y'all taking the time to do this. I think this is a very informative episode, and I really appreciate the insight. I'll definitely reach out to y'all in the future, and hopefully we can collaborate maybe in person. You know, sound like we're on the same page, trying to do the same thing. So, all right, everybody, this has been another episode of the More Than Love podcast. Shout out to Brother Soul Productions for the audio. Shout out to you, Jay, for making this happen. Everybody, make sure you share the episode, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on Instagram at the More Than Love podcast.
More Than Love podcast.
All right, everybody. Y'all have a good one. Peace.
Peace.